I'm Nathan Skipper with Montgomery Technology Incorporated, and this is session 13 in the MTI Control System Technician Training course. And in this video, we're going to be looking at administering ProVision, particularly with respect to logins and just the overall look and feel of ProVision. First of all, we want to look at how to log in. After you initially configure ProVision, it will bring up a user login, and there's a default system user that will be always set up out of the gate for ProVision, which has a default password which will communicate to you should you install that. When you need to log in, the first thing you need to do is select the first letter of the operator's username that you want to use. Keep in mind that ProVision is designed around a touchscreen type of user interface, and so everything's going to be done in a way that you can just touch and get to the different functions that you need. So you're going to touch the S, for example, if you want to get to the system user, and you'll notice when you do that the users that start with the letter S will populate in the box to the left of the login screen, the box here. Once you do that, then you'll want to select the username that you're logging in under. Once you do that, then you'll enter in the password for that same user, and then lastly you'll press the enter button, or you can press the enter key on your keyboard. And then when you do that, it will automatically, once you've logged in, it will log you into the default screen for this particular project. A few things that you need to know about with respect to the main screen, some functions that are important for administering ProVision. First of all, you've got the sitemap, which is common to all to most of our touchscreen designs that we do. You don't have to have a sitemap, but you can have that. In the event that you don't have a sitemap, or even in the case where you do, you'll also have screen links, typically in the right-hand corner, that allow you a means of navigating between the screens in the touchscreen system. You'll have on most screens, if there's intercom with this particular security control system, you'll have the intercom keypad, and this acts as an on-screen intercom master for all the call-ins for the intercom system. You'll have the alarm log, which provides you with the latest events that are occurring on the system. The alarm log view, which is an expanded version of that event log that you see there in the middle of the screen. The alarms button will take you to a view that provides you with a view of the incoming alarms, such as maybe trouble alarms or power supply alarms, fire alarms, anything related to that's been marked as an alarm in the system. The CCTV button will open the CCTV interface or re-enable it in the event that it's a serial interface. If it's Henley, then it's going to automatically refresh the Henley screens and pull them up to their default settings or to their last camera view. When you press the alarm log button, it will open this view, which provides you with a look at an expanded look at the latest events on the system. Whether you're in the minimized view of the alarm log or the this expanded view, if you click on any one of these events here, you could go to the screen associated with that event if it was connected to a screen. But there are several functions or administrative functions that you can do from this screen that I want to point out. First of all, you have the database version listed here, and this can be important if you're not seeing the things that you expect you should be seeing on the screen. Maybe you added a button but you're not seeing that. Then you might want to look to this date here to see effectively what version of the database you're operating on. So if you made a change today and you changed the file, the database file for this particular touchscreen, but then you're not seeing that button that you added, and you go and look here and the date's off, then obviously you're not operating on that same database. Another important informational point here is the application version. So depending on what version you're operating from, you may have a bug that MTI has fixed, and you want to get the latest version. Keep in mind any minor version updates. That's anything on the right hand side of the period there for 4.82 in this example. They're all free to you, so you can download the latest from MTI's website and update as you need it. The next thing you'll see is the edit login, which we'll cover later, but that's where you would access your login editing form, which would allow you to add and edit users. The timetable allows you to set timed events, and we'll cover that also in another presentation. A few of these checkboxes are important to know about. First of all, if you check the IC auto screen link checkbox, then what that does is when you select an intercom that's calling in from the intercom master keypad, the ProVision will automatically switch to that screen that has that intercom on it. If you select the switch sound enabled, which is typically checked, then this will play an audible sound when you click on a button on the screen to let you know that ProVision has actually activated that or received that command. Timed events enabled, if you uncheck that, then the timed events that are set up in the system will not occur. If you check it, then they will. Reduce sounds checkbox allows you to reduce the sounds played by the system by 25%. This is sometimes a need if the controls, there's a lot of alarms and such going off, or intercoms being called in, and you want to reduce the sound so that maybe your intercoms will be clearer, then you can do that. The service screen, or the service button that takes you to the service screen, is a diagnostics type of screen that provides some information that we'll talk about in a future presentation. The service screen itself gives you some diagnostics that you'll be able to use to tell what might be going wrong with the system, if anything's acting in a way that you think it shouldn't. You can use the list of embedded controllers in the center part or center left part of the screen to diagnose some things. First of all, you'll notice here on the in this list, you'll have the COMTRI. The COMTRI is the number of times the application has tried to communicate with this particular embedded controller at this IP address here and has failed to do so. And so you can use that to tell whether you're talking to each of your embedded controllers. And if this COMTRI is above 1, then you're not communicating with that particular embedded controller, and you can use that as a reason to go out and diagnose it. Another thing that you can do from the service screen is you can get back to the configuration by clicking this button here. You can use the tester, which we'll cover a little later, to test some of the functionality of your programming. Now, to edit operators, if you're under the alarm logging screen, then you go to edit logons, and you'll get this particular form. And you'll notice here there's a table that lists out the users for the system that you've already set up. Like I said, there'll be a default system user that will be able to administrate the entire system. And the fields out to the down at the bottom, if you were to select the operator, the system operator, then these fields would be populated with the information for that user. Or you can click on the Add New button and fill in these these fields here at the bottom, and then click the Save button to save that new user. If you're editing one that already exists, then you'll just simply click the Save button once you've made those changes. The name field would be the username for this operator. The password would be the password for the operator. PIN number is a 4-digit PIN that you can provide to the user, which would allow that user to exit the application using the Exit Program button back on the alarm log screen. We don't by default allow operators to just automatically exit the program, because in many cases this is controlling the jail, and you don't want operators just getting in and out of the program anytime they want. Then the level value here can be any value between 0 and 1,000. 1,000 being the greatest operator level that you can have, which is an administrator level, 0 being the lowest, and those numbers are arbitrary and are set by you as an administrator or as a programmer. Remember back when we discussed the objects in ProDesign, they had a security level for each of the objects, and that allows you to set each button or each icon or each device on the screen to have a specific security level. And based on that security level, so for example, if you set a button on the screen to be a 100 security level and someone has a 99 level set here, then they would not be able to use that button, and they would have to enter in a user name and password for a higher level user to be able to use that button. And as we mentioned earlier in the video on the ProVision configuration, the card number field would allow you to set a card number value for this operator. And so if the ProVision application is set up to use card reader and a card reader to log in, then when the operator scans his card, it will identify that operator with this user because this user has a card number set for it. So like I said, if you want to add a new record, you click the Add New button, make your changes, and then click Save, and you will commit that. Or if you just want to change an operator, you select the operator from the list, make the changes you need, and click the Save button. If you need to delete a record, then you will select the record, click Delete, and acknowledge that you want to delete.